So the question, of course, is what happens next, and over the next 5 days, what is it that we can expect? What is it that various role players really want to see as those engagements continue with political parties looking to deal with the budget impasse? Well, we'll get reaction. We're joined by Cosatu spokesperson Zanele Sabela, who joins us now for their perspective on how we get stability in the government of national unity. Zanele, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you make of the response from the African National Congress today coming out of that NWC sitting? You have, for instance, the Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, who says we need to have a reset of the government of national unity. Perhaps you can tell me what you interpret that to mean. But was it a strong outcome coming out of that meeting?
Good evening, Naledi. Thank you so much for having us. In terms of when he says they need a reset, I suppose they do need a reset because we can't continue the way they have been. We have serious issues that need to be taken care of in this country. And so from where we sit, they need to take care of it. They need to either go to couples therapy or do something. But we can't continue to have this crisis after crisis because of the internal workings of the GNU. We have a budget. This budget needs to be passed. I mean, like something needs there, the amendments need to go through. They have 30 days in which to do it. Actually, we presented to Parliament today to say that we expected them, actually, if anything needs to happen to make sure that the VAT hike and in terms of the personal income tax brackets, that they should be adjusted. That needs to happen. They need to actually table those amendments by this Friday. And so when the Secretary General says in the next 5 days they need to still be talking, we think they don't have time because that, the budget was passed on the 2nd. The budget vote was on the 2nd of April. So that gives them 30 days. And so if nothing happens until the 2nd of May, it means the VAT increase comes into effect, which is something we don't want to see. We don't want to see workers actually having to carry that extra burden, knowing how indebted they are, how their actual wages haven't kept up with the inflation throughout this time. And as it is, workers' families are actually sacrificing food because the cost of living is just so high. There's transport, there's electricity on the other side, and these are things that actually do carry VAT. And so we don't want to see that 0.5 coming into effect, and we think they need to sort out their squabbles and get on with the business of governing.
The question, however, is how. Apologies. When we talk about how they deal with what you call their squabbles, were you expecting that when the Secretary General held that briefing today that he would be, I suppose, announce a more decisive sort of, communication that says, all right, the DA is out or the DA is in? The reason why I raise that is because what we've heard from the SG is that the ANC not happy with the Democratic Alliance. He said the DA is determined to frustrate and oppose the GNU. And then saying that the DA may have taken what they call a different position, but what happens next is not the ANC's call to make. Then whose call is it?
So when you really listen to what both parties are saying, none of them is saying let's break this thing up, let's go away. And so it looks like there's a lot of posturing that's happening here. But meantime, there are real issues on the ground. You'll know about the U.S. tariffs that came on last week. They will affect the automotive sector. They will affect the agricultural sector. And so these are real issues that need to be dealt with. This posturing, the DA running to court, the DA actually saying that, the DA... from the last time we looked, everyone was in agreement. No one wanted this VAT hike. No one was happy about it. And so we don't understand how we get to this point then that we're sitting. So there needs to be a reset. They themselves need to figure out how they will go about things. And so when the finance minister said, the DA came to them and said, to be able to pass this budget, then we need you to think about the NHI, the Bella Bill, and the Expropriation Act, things that are now in the past. Things that we care about. We care about the Bella Bill. We care about the NHI. We care about land expropriation. And so these are things that it's water under the bridge. And so the DA cannot be turning back the clock. And also the ANC, but in the same vein, they themselves, if they go ahead like this, trying to settle an increase of 0.5%, a VAT increase of 0.5%, and they can't get this in 2 months, then what happens to legislation that needs to be passed from now on going forward? And so this is why we are saying they need to sort it out. They need to sort it out, and they need to do it quickly because we do not have time. We have real issues that are happening currently, and the country needs to move on. We have a very high unemployment rate in this country, 41.9%. We look at the expanded definition of unemployment, because even if you think about discouraged workers, those people still need jobs. And so, our economy hasn't been growing, has been stuck at 1% for the longest time. These are real, and now we're sitting here. We need to find a plan for the aid that was coming through PEPFAR. And so all these issues are serious issues. Government needs to find money to plug that hole that has been left by PEPFAR. We cannot continue like this.
I mean, there's lots of holes that need to be plugged at this stage, and that part I think a lot of people will agree with. But give me this, and I almost want to, corner you and say, can you give me this response in 30 seconds? Because I almost want it to be as clear, as concise as possible. What is the position of Cosatu as an alliance partner on what should be done with the makeup of the Government of National Unity, the DA and the Freedom Front Plus, in or out from the perspective of Cosatu?
You are trying to pin me down. So initially, when the Government of National Unity, before its formation, Cosatu was of the impression that the ANC should have a minority government, so that they could, whenever they needed something, then they would lobby other parties to come through and vote with them on certain issues. But that didn't happen. The ANC went into this GNU with all the other parties, including the DA. For us, the particular worry was about, the labor laws, and how the DA has never, ever voted for anything that was in favor of workers. And that was our big concern. But now that they have chosen where they are, they need to sort it out. And we are not going to dictate to them. But like I said to you, when you listen to both sides, they are just finger pointing. No one is willing to take a decision to say, you must leave or you must stay. So they need to sort it out. The ball is squarely in their court. They need to sort it out. We are worried about workers and what all these delays and how it will affect workers. And that's all we are going to say on the subject.
Yeah, you slipped away from my question, but I'll take it. Thank you so much for giving us your time there. We really do appreciate it. Zanele Sabela there, spokesperson for Cosatu, speaking to us this evening.